How about a little Viva Las Vegas? The footy is back, baby. How are we, Benson Cord?
Fantastic. We are so back.
I'm very well. TLT has arrived for 2024, and I'm very excited for Sunday. Should be great. Initiative, first of all, by PVL to get it over there, which everyone knows about. But very excited, Dor. Very, very excited.
Oh, I bloody can't wait. Got the retro Broncos jersey on. Bring on Sunday, baby.
Well, Dor, as you say, that TLT has been announced for the Vegas games. Some interesting selections of that. We're going to get to the Roosters Broncos very shortly, but Bents, the Seagulls and Rabbitohs kick us off at 12:30 on Sunday. And the big news out of this TLT is that Ben Trbojevic has got the start, boys. He's on the edge. He's partnering Olakau'atu. What do we think of that? Is he a must-have at 250K?
I wouldn't say it's a must-have. After last year, I had him at about 200 and odd K. Got injured after getting 9 points, lost me the round. So I don't know if I can trust him, but at that price, I think it'd be rude not to have him at least in reserves. I'll think he'll be in my reserves, but I'm not sure, man.
Personally, I just think that with Burbo's at 250K, the center position this year is quite weak.
Agreed, Dor.
So I'm thinking at 250K. I think we were touching on off podcast Cord. Not sure he'll play the 80 minutes, with that bench, but I think he's going to get at least 50, 60 minutes, and he looked very good in the trials.
Yeah,
so,
look, the sample
he's
size.
In my side.
The sample size for Burbo isn't great. He's played 4 games at the row. He's got 29, 30 points, and that was over 42 minutes and 62 minutes. So, look, the potential is there. If what is Manly saying is true and that he's improved that much, I think he's almost a must-have to be in your teams this week. Which brings me to my other question, boys. How many Vegas players are you guys going to be starting with? Because for those that don't know, the lockout does lock out the Vegas players in your team, and then the lockout unlocks out for the rest of the round, because round 1 is over 2 weeks. So how many round 1 Vegas players will be in your starting team?
I'll go first if you don't mind, Bence. Look, obviously this TLT changes a few things because my team I didn't actually change before I got on this podcast, but I had 1, 2, 3. I had 4 players at the moment, but that's going to probably change with Mariner getting the go ahead over Oates.
Yeah,
I think he's probably going to be one to bring in, which we'll touch on later.
Yep. Oh, well, Bence, before you go, I've probably got 4 as well. Haas, Burbo, Piakora, and Wong. We'll touch on Wong, but how many have you got there, Bence?
Well, I actually haven't made my team fully yet. I have a rule where I don't even look at the app much until TLT's out.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Otherwise, I'm just wasting my time. But I think I am going to be very cautious when selecting my team. Only select a few. 4 to 5, what you guys have sounds pretty good to me. But yeah, once again, I need to make my team fully before I have an answer.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think something just to touch on as well is we obviously had this discussion earlier with the smaller field that's over in Vegas. It's obviously, I think it's 5 meters shorter, is it? I think 5 meters shorter.
5 meters narrower and 6 meters shorter. So
yeah. So I'm thinking that's going to play into the potential, into the advantage of your forwards. Obviously, more compact, not as much room on the outside for the backs to get to work. So I think, base players are going to go really well in Vegas.
Another one here before we move on to the Rabbitohs, fellas. Look, he's been one to avoid for many years. Lukey Brooks. I've seen a few teams in the DM saying that Luke Brooks is in their selected team and they're going with him. Is he a viable option this year, boys? Or are they taking the piss?
They're taking the mickey, mate. Luke Brooks, especially having DCE, who's such a powerhouse next to him, who's going to be pretty much carrying that team with Tom Trbojevic. I don't see any reason to have Luke Brooks, even at the price he is. I'm avoiding.
I think if you just look at fantasy halves, it's really apart from maybe Munster, there's not really that those halves that aren't really kick dominant that you get into your side. So DC is going to do majority of the kicking. It's probably going to hurt him a little more than so Brooks, because Brooks might actually kick a bit more than what, say, Schuster or other players have.
Yeah. Look, if they're splitting the kick meters last year for the Tigers, Brooks probably got all of his points basically from kick meters. I'm looking at here: 400, 395, 428, 415, 370, 451 kick meters. So if DCE and Brooks are sharing them, it's going to be hard for Brooks to get those base points as well.
He's going to get obviously a bit more stats from running, like his run meters and whatnot, because he knows that DCE can control the ship. He's just going to take on the line and be more aggressive. So that might help him, but I just think he's losing, like you said, losing so much of that base in those kick meters that it's one to avoid. I wouldn't be going Lukey Brooks.
Moving on to the Rabbitohs, and there's really not much to report here for the Rabbits. Pretty stock standard team for them. The one that got my eye, though, and got your eye door is Sean Keppie. Now, we got him a couple of years ago.
Last year
was
Keppie.
it? He was bung average, but Can we see him? Can we see him potentially scoring a bit higher now that he's got the starting role at Souths?
I wouldn't say it's one to jump. Basically go and get. He's not really like a must-have. The problem is he's priced awkwardly at $413K. For me, break even of 30. I think he's probably going to get if I'm being generous, I'd say 30 to 40 minutes, I reckon, max. If he got more than that, well, he's definitely a buy. I'd wait and see, I think, with Keppie, but it's definitely one to monitor because he's obviously come straight to South this season. I don't really think there's that many injuries to the South forward pack. It's more their back line that's been ruined by injuries that we'll touch on in a second. But yeah, for me, I'd avoid Keppie for now. I just need to see what his minutes are.
I'm totally with you. I will be avoiding him. I just can't see him playing that many minutes, especially with such a forward-heavy bench.
Yeah.
Plus, he had a good opportunity last year, and he kind of proved, he's priced where that's the value you're going to get, $400K.
Yeah.
Jacob Gagai's in the team. I don't think we really have to touch on him very much. They've got not Walker.
They've got Whiten suspended, so he'll come back. And then also Munro was ahead of Gagai as well, who got injured in the preseason.
Yeah.
So I think he's out for a month. So after that, he'll come in. But I think once Whiten's back, Gagai's probably gone, and Kenna will move on to the wing. So yeah, I wouldn't be going Gagai.
Avoid.
Now, moving on to the Broncos and the Roosters. This is where the big news is coming out.
Not the Bronx.
So, yeah.
Look, very interesting team selection for the Roosters. They've named both Wong and Tupanua in the starting second rowers. They haven't named Crichton, Watson, or Egan Butcher. So they've named White, Nat Butcher, May, and Sandon Smith on the bench. I've been asking Dora and Bence this question off podcast. Who gets more minutes, Wong or Tupanua?
Wong. I reckon Wong gets more minutes. I think just from what I saw last year, Tupanua only came back from ACL surgery last year. I think that with Butcher, I see Butcher moving into the lock position and giving Radley a spell at some point. And then I probably see White taking off Tupanua, I think, after 60. Look, this is just a guess. If I could look into a crystal ball and tell you boys who's playing 80 minutes, I'd love to. But unfortunately, I just think that Wong gets the 80 minutes for me.
I think I'm with you there. I've heard all the hype about Wong. Obviously, I haven't made my team yet, but I think I will be going for Wong over Satili just because I can't fully trust him after that injury as well.
Yeah,
it is quite worrying having those reserves of Angus Crichton and Butcher because I can see Butcher coming in at any point and taking one of their spots.
Look, in an ideal world, May takes off Leniu, White takes off Collins, Nat Butcher takes off Radley, and both Tupanua and Wong play 80 minutes. But it's probably not going to happen. I'm with Dor. I think Wong if he's going to be picked, I think he's going to be playing the 80. There's no reason why he'd get picked just to play 60, 55 minutes. So I'm with you there, Dor.
I also just quickly called to touch on, I think also if you look at the next few years and you look at what the Roosters are doing, like Angus Crichton's probably looks like he's going to rugby. And they've trusted Wong re-signed him and everything. So I think, they're putting confidence in Wong now. So for me, I actually think he can stay there the whole time. It's just about his minutes.
Agreed.
Especially with a player like Gus Angus Crichton not even making the 17. So
for the Bronx, your men, boys.
And yours?
No, not my men. Some interesting news here. Brendan Piacora is named fit and ready to go for Vegas. So, look, he's an absolute lock. Must have. Get him in your teams.
He should be in 100% of teams.
How good was he in that trial against the Cowboys?
Very, very good.
Special.
Even though, as Clancy would say, it was against their third stringers. But look,
mate,
you've
third
still got
stringers or not, you got to get the tries.
Yeah, you've still got to get. He passed the eye test for me. I'm seeing running off Mam and Reynolds, running really good holes. Obviously a lot quicker, a bit more dynamic than Capewell. So yeah, I'm really excited. We've obviously, as you and I, Bence, as Broncos fans, been waiting for this time. We've signed him many years ago to a decent contract. Yeah. And we've been waiting for the hype to come, and it's finally arriving.
We saw glimpses at the end of last year of how talented he is, and I think he's going to be I think he's going to be a try scoring second row. To be honest, I think he's going to just get heaps of attacking points. To be honest,
against those lower sides.
Yeah. Agreed.
100% of teams.
The old faithful Corey Oates has missed out on a starting 17
Poor
spot.
MPH.
He, Dean Mariner will play on the wing. Now, he's an interesting option. Would you be going him door this week with the reduced dimensions of the field? Would you wait a week? What are your thoughts on him?
Well, in all honesty, from what I heard, the whole preseason with the Broncos, it was Arthur's, and then it was a battle between Oates and Mariner for the spot. Now, in that Cowboys trial game, I didn't really see, they were both solid, but no one really put their hand up to say, yeah, this is my spot. So Mariner getting the go, and then what happened obviously last year with Oates. My views personally, I'll get yours in a second, Bence, but my view personally is I think Oates is someone that will replace someone if someone gets injured in the back line. So for me, I'm looking at Mariner because, as we've touched on and we'll touch on earlier, at 450 in a center position, there's not really that many real standouts. Obviously, Zeri is one, but the dual position with center and wing fullback as well is not a strong position that we'll touch on again later. But yeah, for me, he's in my side because I think that Oates is just going to be someone that replaces injuries.
For me, I am so 50-50 with him just because my rule of thumb is I don't like to have centers that are awkwardly priced like that. And then obviously he is a winger at the end of the day. So I like to avoid wingers at all costs unless I know that they're going to score well, like a Marju or To'o. He's one of those guys, for me, I think I'm going to miss him, but just see how he goes. With that Broncos team, I feel like they're going to be try-scoring machines this year. And obviously look at Corey Oates and so on, Cobo. They were just scoring try after try. For me, I think I'm going to wait and see how he goes. But yeah, obviously having him at center, he could be one of those guys that people are sleeping on, to be honest.
Yeah. I agree.
Should we touch on last one, Cord? I think I know he's in a lot of teams, and sorry if you saw my template earlier. I had mail that he was not being named and he was going to miss out. But Xavier Wilson, obviously showed a fair bit in the preseason, was outstanding in his short stint for the Maori All-Stars. And he's in a fair chunk of teams. What are your thoughts, boys, on Big Willow?
Yeah, look, it just depends on minutes for Willison. He's obviously basement price.
Really good PPM, as Mick touched on last week. I think 1.3, I think.
Yeah, good PPM. I think it's also just a guess at the point of what Kevy wants to do. Is he going to get more minutes over Payne Haas, Paddy Carrigan in the clutch time moments? I really don't know. Is there potential also for him to come on for Corey Jensen and take the starting spot over him as the season progresses? There's definitely an upside there for him. So look, I wouldn't say don't buy him, but I think he is a definite option.
He's reserves at best for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say he definitely wouldn't be a starter, but it also helps as well with the dual with mid and edge as well. We love our dual players.
Yeah, look, he's in 33.6% It's 33.67% of teams. So people do like him, that's for sure. Payne Haas is in 41% as well.
Break even of 19 as well for Wilson. Like,
So look, he's a money maker. So I wouldn't be going against him, that's for sure.
Yeah. I guess something that now we've, gone through those teams, unless, is there anything final?
No, I think that's
that you boys
TLC
want to touch on?
wrapped.
Something that a few boys have been asking is like some keepers. Who are some must-haves that we, should start this season? Obviously, we'll look at next week, basically put forward some players who we were impressed with over the preseason. I'll put one out there first. I think Cord was very high on him as well. Sorry to steal your thunder, Cord, but big Semi Hughes for the Dogs. Sort of like Wilson, sorry. But I think that he's got more of an upside in terms of his minutes because of the Dogs' prop situation. It's not like they've got, Carrigan can play prop as well, but, those big guns, Max King's not really a big gun. And then we're obviously not sure about Josh Curran with his minutes. But for me, I think Hughes gets 30 to 40 minutes, got good PPM, and he's the fittest player at the Dogs, reportedly. So he's going to get through a mountain of work.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think I'm going to start with him on the reserves.
For sure.
I'm not 100% confident with him on the interchange scoring bench.
Yeah.
Like other ones you said, Dorr, Pappenhausen must have.
Yep.
Pierre Cora, Ethan Strange, and the Raiders are a really interesting one because
him and Weeks, basically, that's an interesting situation.
Strange Weeks. They have Chris coming back, Rapana on the fullback.
Yeah.
He's got that position, so we really don't know who's going to get that position at all.
Ruben Cotter's probably one to look at now with the captaincy. He should get more minutes, and Lolo shifting into the front row position. I think Cotter's going to, obviously if he stays healthy, should be playing, I'd say 60 to 65 minutes. And we know, what Cotter can do in big minutes. I'm pretty sure he got 30, not off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure he got like 30 odd fantasy points last week in their game. He didn't play like big minutes, obviously, because it's a trial, but I liked what I saw from him. So
he is so cheap as well. A few years ago, he was an absolute beast in fantasy.
Yeah.
Because of the injury coming back last year. That's the same with Pappenhausen, those players that have come back from injury and only played Pappenhausen, I think only played like a couple of games there with 10, 15 minutes. And Cotter was the same. He didn't play very big minutes. That's why he's at such a great price.
Yeah.
Dylan Lucas, boys.
Yeah, Dylan Lucas played really well in the trials, didn't he?
Yeah, and he was great last year as well when the Knights had a few injuries at the back end there. I'm really big on Lucas. He's only in 4.8% of teams. He's one that I really like, but obviously I'm not going to say lock him in because I don't. There's obviously Pierce Paul, I'm pretty sure, who's come over from the UK. He played last weekend. I didn't see as much as what I liked from him that I do with Lucas, but that's just something to monitor. But if he's named starting, he's straight in for me.
Yeah, when Lucas averages over 80 minutes, when he plays 80 minutes, sorry, he averages 52.8 points. So that's pretty good for old mate Lucas at 558k, 558k, I should say.
Anyone you got, Bence?
Well, I'm just looking at my team.
Yeah,
now.
you're right.
I have a question for you boys. Like, I've got Tedesco and Walsh here side by side, both very similar price, 670k and 664k. Do I go for Teddy, who's been a reliable in the past, bit of a dodgy year last year, or do I go for the new kid on the block, who's bound to have a massive year with the Broncos? Obviously, they're going to win. So I'm really torn about those two.
Good question, Bence. The wing
Teddy's only 2.6%. Sorry to cut you off. That is crazy to me.
The wing fullback situation this year is quite dire, to say the least. Obviously, with Campbell going down, put a big hole in the wing fullbacks. Pappenhausen's definitely one. I've seen a lot of teams with Weeks at the back as well. I just can't rely on Weeks at all for that. No. So, look, I like the way you're thinking, Bence, with the 3 gun fullbacks to start the year. It's definitely not normal to do that for fantasy-wise. The issue with doing that, though, Dorian, you highlighted this in the pre-game podcast, is that if you go those three at the back, you're more than likely not to go both Cleary and Hines.
And you're probably like, if you're going those three as well, you're probably not going to be able to go Haas or Grant or someone like that.
So that is an issue. My advice for the wing fullback position is to go Pappenhausen, and with Pappenhausen is to go one of those Teddy and
you go with just
Walsh.
one of the guns, Teddy Walsh, Ponga.
And then that
cheapy.
third position is so tough. Like, you got options like Taff, Keeney for like 2 rounds potentially.
Yeah, Keeney's just one, like with Campbell, like he's could come back like after round, like the bye week, and then you'd only have Keeney for 1 round. So I think that's put me off Keeney altogether, to be honest.
What are you guys saying about like the ownership though? Like, do you guys think Walsh should be owned more than Teddy?
I think it's obviously, look, Bence, I actually think it's not fantasy related. I think it's more people are
PR
read in,
department's got them.
they've read in too much into the articles of like, Teddy, he shouldn't have had the Kangaroos jersey, blah, blah, blah.
I like him
And
as
he's
a pod.
passed it.
Yeah, he's at 2.6%.
It's crazy to think that Tedesco is a pod right now.
And Roosters, I think, will be a lot better this year.
Yeah. Good question, though, because
their
look,
roster is, whew.
I think that's what's going to make or break fantasy this year is who you start with in the wing fullback position. So, good question, Bence.
I've got one here, boys. This is not a keeper. I'm going a sleeper.
Ooh, new segment.
Lukey. Heal him, Lukey.
William.
I know we went last year on him.
I don't know if I can go back to that guy.
Yeah, I know,
I can't trust
I
him.
know.
He's giving me kick-out
but
vibes.
I'm very close to take. I actually think he's going to have
You're
a
gonna pull the
huge
trigger,
year.
Dill.
I think, I'm going to pull the trigger on Lukey. I really liked what I saw in the trial on the weekend. Look, in all honesty, now that Leilua's gone, so there's only one person now with Finay Fukiaki. So if there's one injury, that he's going to be playing 80 minutes every week. I really like his PPM.
Yeah, look, Dill, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
I
you're right.
love your thinking as well. Just a bit of a minute situation for Lukey. He averages, when he plays over 50 minutes, he averages 42.6, but when he plays over 60 minutes, he averages 55.6. So that's a 13-point differential there.
I back him for 60.
I
He's an
back him for
interesting
60
one.
as well. And with a
He had
498 price tag, he's a very viable option.
He had a really big game. Didn't he like nearly crack 100 one game? Or because I remember
He had a
owning
couple of
him,
big games. We got
Yeah.
him in on our the
he's just
fantasy
like an
team
absolute
for a
bomb.
couple
Like,
of...
he either hits or he just doesn't.
I think it's a
Yeah.
great option. I think
I like it at 498k to be honest.
Yeah.
I opened
Yeah,
my eyes to that one door. I appreciate that.
No, that's that's all right. There's there's obviously, you got Kickow as well at that sort of price range, but I'd be going Lukey over Kickow. I just think the base rate with Kickow goes out of games. Sorry, Macca, but Kickow goes out of games, and I think that whereas Lukey, he was just like last week had 18 runs for 168 run meters.
yeah.
Impressive.
And like
Really got through a lot of work, and that's what I like to see for someone that's around that
the
price.
good thing, Dor, about
And
these-
Cowboys are going to be so much better as well this year.
the good thing about these middles being cheap, like Curran, Lukey, and there's obviously a fair few others. Cotter, there's another one.
Yeah.
You can almost go those 3 expensive fullbacks because you're not going as hard in the middles. So that's another great option there, Dor, that you brought
Well,
up.
that's something, as you said, you can touch on with, we had this conversation off potty about Haas. Like, is Haas, because he's 880K. My situation with what I had until like today from my team from yesterday was that I've got Cleary and Hines in the halves. I've got Haas at in the mid. I've got Grant at hooker, and then I've got I can't work out my wing fullback situation.
Yeah, it's
So
tough.
I've got to try and get a gun there, and I haven't got enough money.
Maybe that's where Dean comes in.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
that
Well,
dual
see,
position.
that's the thing though. Like, I honestly not sure. I don't think I'm going to be able to do Hines and Cleary unless I get rid of Haas.
Yeah.
But-
One last question to end the podcast. Sorry, Dor.
You're right.
And it's going to be a debate from the start of fantasy to the end. Do we go with Cleary to start the season? Bence, you haven't weighed in on this yet, or Hines. Now, Cleary is in 51% of teams. Hines only 15%. So you're almost categorizing Hines as a pod in this situation. Are you going to go Hines or Cleary to start the year?
For me, I'm Cleary, and that's not even close. That's just for me. Cleary's another level for me. Although he is versing Melbourne first round, so it's something to...
They do have quite a hard draw, Penrith, and I brought this up last week, which it doesn't really matter for Cleary at all.
Exactly.
But Dor, have you swung at all, or are you staying with Cleary?
No, I haven't swung at all.
Yeah.
I'm going Cleary. Cleary didn't even play well in the World Club Challenge on the weekend and got 60 points.
Exactly.
So,
and Hines, every now and then he just had a stinker last year. He was in my team for a large majority of the year, and he almost wasn't that reliable until the end of the year.
I just think as well, like you're saying, Ben, so I think that also comes down with Trindle coming in. Moylan was more of a ball runner, didn't do much of the kicking, where Trindle, I think he doesn't do that much, but he obviously takes away a little bit from Hines in that aspect. And then you've obviously got a Penrith Luai. Luai barely kicks at all. If it's anything, it's like a grubber close, 5-10 meters out. So for me, it's Cleary. And if I get rid of one of these players, I'm getting rid of Hines because I'm keeping Cleary.
Hines would be a spectacular pickup if he was down around 800k. So I might be waiting for that.
Yeah. Fair enough, boys. Any last players you want to touch on quickly before we wrap it up for this week?
I know you guys had a potty last. I don't know if you guys picked up on it. You guys talked about Harry Grant last week being captain.
Yes. Yeah, but you mention it because I think that is something that we need to mention
I
about.
think he's a must for me.
Yeah. Another one that got the captaincy today, actually, that's worth mentioning before we end, is Cameron McInnes.
That is very interesting because they're both locks.
Yeah.
Finucane and McInnes. So does one just take over the captaincy when the other one goes off?
I think there's a good potential that McInnes might start at prop.
At 700k though.
Yeah.
I think he gives you what you pay for and no more.
And don't get Finucane. Trust me.
Please don't.
Suspension and injury. No, just don't go thing. But just quickly on the hookers, boys, what are we thinking there? Are we all going Grant in our sides here? Are we looking anywhere else?
Yeah,
you've got Marshall King. I hate saying his name because he did me so dirty last year, but the cheese as well.
No, don't say that.
Yeah, I know, brother. I know. I'm going Grant, and I haven't swayed. He's locked in.
One thing that is interesting, Dor, is that I think Grant is a set and forget, but he also has quite an early bye. I think it's round 4 he has the bye.
Well, we need to obviously look at hopefully Hands gets that job.
Backup hookers. So there's not many cheap hookers at all other than Hands or Lussick. So if one of them gets the 8-minute job, we're set.
What about, obviously, I think he's injured at the moment, but Jaden Brayley's 575k. So, and with his injury history, I'd need to see a good month of football from him before I'd go to him. But
well, let's hope Hands gets the job. Otherwise,
Lussick wasn't that great on the weekend, just gone against the Titans.
Yeah.
I thought when Hands came on, he added a bit more. Obviously, I'm not the coach, but hopefully for us, fantasy coaches, that Hands gets the job over Lussick. Anything else, boys? Do we want to touch on?
I think that's it.
Lastly, I would basically just say we appreciate all the support. 10K on the Insta.
Let's go.
This week. And
Big numbers.
Just appreciate all the support. And make sure you subscribe, follow all our pages, YouTube, TikTok, X, Facebook. We're on all of them. And I know that we haven't been as quick as usual with getting back on DMs. We've had a few technical issues as well as, just being a lot more DMs than usual at this time of the year just because of this growth. So basically to end the podcast, thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you next week.
See you then.
Thank you, guys.